Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Please take notice that the Wellfleet Conservation Commission, in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw, will hold a public hearing in person in the basement of Town Hall and via Zoom on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. Public hearings begin at 4 p.m. Business meeting to follow. In attendance, we have Michael Fisher, John Portnoy, John Cumber, Bob Stewart, and Leon Shreve, so we have a quorum. Okay, the first item on the list is the Town of Wellfleet, 255 Commercial Street, Town Pier, map 21, parcel 114, a request for determination of applicability to construct a shed to house an ice machine. And this is evidently an after the fact. Well, after the fact. Who's going to represent that?
Do I sit here or there?
Please, there it is.
Please sign. I will, thank you. So the town purchased an ice machine and there was no plan for installing it. There was no plan for operating it. There was no conferring with town staff or departments, to see who had the bandwidth to take it on. And
Who purchased it? Nancy, sorry.
we got an appropriation from the state.
Who's we?
The town of Wellfleet received an appropriation from the state and purchased it without any plan. And so April, I think, maybe. I mean, I've always kind of, they've been talking about it and stuff, but in April, the town administrator just asked me to take it on. So I was blind leading the blind, didn't know what we needed. And as soon as I was informed that we needed a permit, I mean, basically the same day I turned it around with the application. And
That
just
application
open.
being this one to us.
mhm.
Was there a building permit for it?
There's no building permit because it is being viewed as a piece of equipment.
Interesting.
A piece of equipment, housing for a piece of equipment, didn't.
Okay.
But, so now we're kind of like backtracking and, okay, what do we need? What needs to happen? Who needs to be aware of it? And trying to do everything, even the whole procurement process was a little off, and we had to start over and put things out because we were getting quotes back that were over 10 grand, so then we have to go out to bid on them because you're not allowed to just take a quote and give it to somebody who's more than 10 grand. So there's been a lot of backtracking and redoing, and here I am in front of you doing the same thing basically.
I can sympathize.
Yeah. So the Shellfish Department is taking on all of the getting the thing housed and up and going, and then operations will be turned over to the marina. And because we all thought this was going to happen more quickly, we already have the pricing sheet done. So there's like one thing that we're totally on target with, and that we'll be able to, as soon as it's operational, we'll be able to start selling ice.
We were there this morning, and I've been watching the pilings go up and everything. Is the ice machine going to be on top?
Yeah.
That's the idea. So it's going to be like a 2-story thing.
It's gonna be big because it has to be out of the floodplain. And so that's why it's on pilings. And then the ice machine itself sits over and then dumps down.
So taking advantage of gravity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then people will come and scoop it out.
What will it look like at night? Will there be lights on it or?
Don't know.
Porch light?
Is there any kind of illustration of what it will look like when it's finished?
No. But I believe that might be in the works right now.
Is it going to pretty much take the whole square footage of the deck? Or is it going to have a walkway around it or? No, we don't know. Okay.
I do not know, but I believe that there's some plans being done now.
Is this atypical for the way the town approaches these kind of things? I hate to put you on the
My
spot.
level of frustration with this project is like so high.
I have a question real quick about
Please.
drainage.
I don't wanna.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Down
put
the
you.
road of airing dirty laundry, it just doesn't matter. Right now, I just wanna
Right, we
do
just
the
need
right
to-
thing and get it done correctly.
About drainage, I think that is a concern that is within the purview of this commission is, you know, when we were there before, all the concrete is gone. And we wanna make sure that any drainage from those ice machines are going into the existing stormwater system that is there.
Hold on, I wanna write this down. Any drainage.
There's a grate right below.
Yeah, there's a grate right
Right to the
near it.
left of it, yeah, right up
Into
it.
existing stormwater.
If that is actually a functioning stormwater drain.
It looked like the asphalt, the original asphalt surface was removed, where the pilings are. And we didn't know what was gonna happen in the future. If you're gonna put more asphalt there, you may affect the drainage, and we wanna make sure the drainage goes into the.
So my understanding is that it's going to have a concrete floor. So I don't,
On the ground.
I
So
believe
they're gonna be
so.
pouring concrete there.
Yes, so that's the issue, but how they'll pitch it and.
And so they'll have to have a drain in the floor and
There
that
is a-
drain,
Well, there's a storm, there's already a drain right near it.
okay.
So as long as they pitch it so that they can use the existing stormwater, that's,
There may even be facilities in the machine to take any melt or overflow from it down a pipe and put it
Mhm,
directly
yeah.
into it. So you're talking about two different kinds of runoff. One would be rain and wave runoff. And the other would just be from the operation of the ice. machine.
yeah, you know, when they're filling the ice, it's the extra water
Right,
in general there, so that is a valid concern that.
How will the ice be dispensed?
what,
How is the ice dispensed? Suppose I go down
it's
there,
gonna go down into a bin, into a sanitary bin, like there'll be, it's going out to bid to have a health HACCP approved type of,
is it
finishing.
rather like the machines you find in motels that,
I don't know, it's not like that.
okay, so somebody wants ice, do they pay for it then?
Yep,
And how does,
it's like you can get a huge Zactic size, or you can get a smaller size or a bushel basket size. So it's being sold kind of in commercial amounts, if you will.
That'll be,
But it'll be open to the public, like if a recreational boater wants to come and bring a bushel basket and fill it with ice, we can sell it to them.
so you put money in a slot or a credit card in a slot and
We haven't, that operation, I believe, is just gonna be done by the harbor master staff. And perhaps at a later time, we can look into investing into another sort of more automated, but right now there's no money for it and the town's not gonna go and ask for money for it. So it's gonna be done by existing staff people. You come and check in and then you get the key and you serve yourself, something like that.
okay,
Or the just like when the marina, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, that just like when you go get gas, a marina staff person facilitates you fueling your boat, it'll be the same thing, but you'll be filling your ice with existing resources that we already have in the town.
what was the driving need to have this ice machine?
So there is, we are the largest aquaculture town in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We have 120 shellfish farms. And we have many wild commercial harvesters of oysters. There is a bacteria that's present in seawater, and it has become more prevalent here since 2012. It's called Vibrio parahemolyticus. And large, so it just is in the water. Oysters feed and the bacteria is going in and out. But once you take an oyster out of the water and it's not feeding anymore, that bacteria can multiply. And that bacteria can cause gastrointestinal distress and further complications. So the state implemented a control plan in 2012 or 13, I believe, whereas oysters need to be so the cooling of an oyster inhibits the reproduction of this bacteria. And so it keeps it at a level that is manageable, let's say. And the plan calls that when an oyster is exposed by the receding tide or is picked up out of the water, from that minute, you have 2 hours to get them into a complete ice bath or covered completely with ice. And cooling the oysters slows the growth of the bacteria and therefore slows the incidences of illness. And so it's very, very important that this happen. The way it happened is unfortunate. The reason that we have it is is vital to the industry. So right now, some people drive all the way to P-Town or to Harwich to get ice from their dealers. So they're on the road twice a day, once to get the ice and once to go sell the product. And there's just lots of complications like that.
So harvesters now they put their product into bags, seal them up and put a seal on them, then they put them in the ice right there on the truck.
Right there on the
Yeah.
flats.
So they have to fill up an ice bin
Yep.
on their truck.
Right,
before
so
they go.
some people have their own ice machines at home. It's been such an issue. Some people get it from wherever they sell their product from, and other people go to other marinas like Provincetown to get ice that has a municipal ice machine.
So it sounds like it's a good thing in general.
It's definitely warranted, and I think it'll help us keep oysters chilled during the 6-month control season from May to October.
I'm aware of that questions. I move that we approve this as a -2.
Let's do a -3 determination so I can make a condition about the drainage. I know it says -2, but we're gonna change it.
-3.
I'm just curious, why was it -2 to start with? Still not clear on.
What? For,
It's not in the resource.
it's not, but I can't make any conditions on a -2 determination.
Oh, okay.
I can only make conditions on a -3,
Oh,
so.
subtleties.
Can you tell me what -3 means?
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing, so there's.
We just don't know -2.
Yeah, so there's -1, -2, and -3, and that means that you will not, it does not need to be fully regulated by the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay.
So you're exempt.
Why?
Yeah, you're exempt from certain portions of the, well, exempt isn't the right word, but it means that you don't need an NOI, and each of the different negative determinations. So a -2 means that, it won't affect, you're outside of the Wetlands Protection Act, so you don't need anything. But the -3 means that you are somewhat inside the Protection Act, but you don't need to get approval through an NOI, and on that one, I can make conditions. So since we don't have the drainage, we don't know what's happening with the drainage, we can approve it as a -3 with that condition, or we can continue it if you wanna wait for the drainage plan, but that means you can't do any more work.
Actually, if we did it this way, then whatever comes in from the engineers, I can forward to you.
Yeah.
And then you can say, yes, this works, or no, it doesn't.
Exactly, so
Okay,
as long
that's
as you
great.
make that condition.
So we have a motion for
Second.
-3, all
I'll
right?
second it.
Yes.
Wait a minute, is there any public discussion of this?
I have a question. I wanna ask about the amount of noise this machine is gonna be making. I live at the Wellfleet Harbor Cottages, I'm a Wellfleet resident.
Wellfleet Harbor Cottages, which are those?
Hmm?
The ones on the lemon pie?
Yes, the
Okay.
Lemon Pie Cottages,
Mhm.
right across from the
Mhm.
pier.
Mm-hmm.
Had the cottage over 30 years, I absolutely love it, that's why I became a Wellfleet resident. And we are just so inundated with noise, with the music from the Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year, Friday and Saturday nights, the bands on the pier, that it's so loud, the rock music. And I feel like now here's an addition of a machine, that one of our neighbors, one of the other cottage owners researched, they're like 60 to 90 decibels. And I'm just wondering about the noise that this thing is gonna be on all the time. Now, I understand, I'm all for, You know, I like the pier, I like the activity that goes on. I like the fishing boats coming and going and all, you know, I support all that. But I'm just concerned about, you know, what is the noise level of this, and it's gonna be going on all the time, night and day. And, you know, the sound coming across,
I don't know.
easy.
I don't know, and it's probably in the beginning only going to be operational from May to October. And I have never looked at the specs to see that, and I have to look at the specs of the ice machine that was purchased to understand exactly what it I don't know anything about the decibels. I simply don't know. I'm sorry.
I mean, I just, that's just my concern for the enjoyment of my home. That it's very disrupted with music. You know, from July to August, and then the 6-hour event now I'm sure is gonna be a regular every Labor Day weekend. Here, that is,
Yeah, unfortunately, we appreciate your concern and we always encourage public comment, but this commission can't make any decisions based on on noise, so,
yeah.
you know, if you wanna talk to the Nancy or the harbor master separately, I would encourage you to do that, but unfortunately, this commission can't comment on that. Do you mind introducing yourself for the record?
My name is Marie Osler. I'm a trustee of the Wellfleet Harbor Cottages.
Well, thank you for your comments. I
Yeah,
can certainly understand it. It's if it's like a refrigerator, once it's ice inside of it, it'll be quiet. I mean, it'll be fairly quiet. It's when they're pulling ice out of it and pouring cold water into it to freeze again, that's when it would kick into higher gear,
yeah,
which would happen probably, sounds like more,
frequently.
well, during the day, I mean, before low tides.
I wish I had an answer for you.
Yeah,
It is a working waterfront, and
yeah,
I don't know. It might have even been considered in the model that was sourced. I seem to remember some talk about that maybe at Shellfish Advisory Board. But I don't unfortunately have an answer to it.
And
Yeah,
can
we
we
can-
vote
we
for
can
the
vote.
question?
All right, let's vote.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Yes,
And yes, okay. That's approved. Nancy, I know you know this, but will you make sure that the harbor master understands that anything that goes on down there needs to be run by him? I know.
But it was not his responsibility, right?
Yeah,
Because this was
I
put in
understand,
my-
but you know, you never
my
know.
plate.
I mean, if somebody drives up, breaks down a fence, or, you know, at the end of a parking space or something, I mean, we still have to be involved with whatever is going on down there.
Okay.
Usually it's just call Leisha, she'll say, NOI, go for it.
yeah.
Alicia and I have gotten very close.
How pleasant for you. Shoot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
can you go this way around, go step out the left.
Yeah. Okay,
Again.
Bye, guys.
bye. Next one is Rockbridge Construction Inc., 40 Pine Point Road, map 21, parcel 68, a notice of intent to remove and replace an existing dwelling and septic system.
Now I'm going to refuse because we own the marsh below it.
Right.
You get there?
Second chance. Moving on to that, some background. Okay,
Good afternoon. For the record, I'm Don O'Reilly. With me to my right is Mike Tanis from Blue Flax Design. Also behind us is Teresa Spray from Blue Flax, as well as John Story, the applicant and owner. John can raise his hand in the back. We also have the project architect with us tonight in case there's any questions on the building. So we we were engaged to work with Mr. Thorey and the existing house that's there with a new dwelling to replace the existing. So I'll describe the resources first. So this is a 87,000 to 8,700 square foot lot on Pine Point Road. It's impacted or influenced by several wetland resources. We have a riverfront area that, although it's not part of overlays the property, I felt necessary to show it because it's about it's within the salt marsh. We do have a salt marsh. It cuts into the northwest corner of the property. We have a land subject to coastal storm flowage at elevation 13, and that's still water elevation of it's a zone AE. We do have a elevated landform that meets the technical delineation of Mass DEP 92-1. So we do have a coastal bank that is tight up against where the existing house is now. And we're also dealing with the Wellfleet in our APUC. The property is 96% within the 50-foot buffer. It is completely within the ACUC boundary. And so what we're proposing to do, where the existing home is a 2-bedroom home, it is currently served by a old style Title V septic system, which consists of a septic tank and a leaching trench, which is located to the rear of the building adjacent to the coastal bank. The system went in with several variances through the Wellfleet Board of Health when the system was installed. And the reason they put it on the backside of the building is that we have drinking water wells along the road, most notably our own well in the front left corner, as well as wells on either side of the property and across the street. So we didn't really have the option of relocating the leaching facility to the front of the property to maximize distance. So what we've obviously opted to do is to remove the existing tank and install a new tank with a treatment system. This is going to be an enhanced nitrogen removal system that's consistent with the Wellfleet Board of Health requirements. So I do have a coverage table on the property. Obviously, the applicant would like to construct a deck in the rear of the building. And that accounts for the increase within the 50-foot buffer. Again, properties 96% inside the 50-foot buffer of about 700 square feet, a little over 700 square feet. And then we're also showing a 115 square foot addition or expansion within the 50 to 100, which is primarily from the redefined driveway on the left side of the building. We do have two retaining walls on either side of the building, which helps us to retain the grade that's currently out there. And the building will still have a walkout basement on the north side of the building as it's shown. So that is a very brief summary of the site itself. I'm going to turn it over to Mike, but we'll talk about the restoration and the mitigation component of the project.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Mike Tanis, Blue Flags Design. The existing house has been vacant for some time, so the property is currently overgrown. Retaining walls are completely obscured by invasive English ivy vines, and areas that were once mown are now thickets of brambles with invasive garlic mustard and border privet. This would become well established in those areas. The coastal bank is densely vegetated with native trees, including oak, eastern red cedar, pitch pine, black cherry, as well as invasive black locusts. Sapling-sized invasive sycamore maple mixed with native and invasive shrubs to form a shrub layer that's dense near the top of the bank, but it thins out near the bottom where large invasive Asiatic bittersweet vines has grown up trees and shaded out the understory. Native shrubs include choke cherry, bayberry, arrowwood viburnum, and high tide bush near the bottom of the bank. There is little to no native ground cover due to shade and competition from invasive vines. So we are proposing invasive species management and native plant restoration on the bank and in the buffer zone in a total of approximately 3,249 square feet. The project will begin with mechanical and hand removal of the invasive species. The stumps will be cut flush with the ground, treated with systemic herbicide, and left in the ground to decompose. 9 invasive black locust trees will be removed, along with 1 pitch pine that is heavily damaged by invasive vines, so it's in poor health and close to the house. All vegetation debris will be removed and brought to an off-site disposal area. Any root material not destroyed by the herbicide pretreatment that's left behind, along with, and there will be a substantial invasive species seed bank throughout the area. So we will need to continue with follow-up in some late summer and continue through fall and winter for the next 3 growing seasons to treat those returning invasives. After removing the invasive shrubs and vines, the native vegetation that is left will be assessed for health and may need to be flush cut or regeneratively pruned to promote healthy regeneration and vigorous growth. Any bare ground will be seeded with an appropriate mix of native grasses and wildflowers, and any slopes will be covered with biodegradable erosion control blankets. After the initial intensive invasive plant management phase is complete, woody vegetation will be planted. Native shrubs and trees appropriate to the site will be planted and allowed to naturalize. Temporary irrigation will be required for the first 2 to 3 growing seasons while these plants established. Once the plants are established, the irrigation will be removed. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Before, if I could just add just a couple of comments. We do have on the plan, on the civil engineering plan, a construction protocol which addresses how the project would be implemented from the house construction point of view, as well as several conservation notes relative to dry wells and roof runoff, as well as impervious driveway and none of the work details. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask you if we should take the revegetation, environmental improvements, restoration separate, address those separate from the structural changes, just to keep things more organized. How would you?
It's a good idea to talk about we'll talk about the house,
Right,
and then after that, we'll talk about mitigation.
right. I think that the house probably is the more problematic one.
So
So,
start with
let's start with the house. So that would be directed towards you, John, is that right?
Yeah, that would be yes.
Okay. The 2 problems that I see are, well, first of all, our regulations don't allow for anything within the 100-foot, 0 to 100-foot. Any new construction cannot go in the direction of the resource. So that means that your covered deck is now going closer to the resource than the current back of the house. So that's one problem. 2 is that since you're expanding the size of the house, so it has to be seen as a new construction, and we're just up against it with a 50-foot. The third thing I think is the location of the drain field, or the leach field. It's only 40 feet or so from the
6 feet.
6.
Mm-hmm.
So so that is so close as to be on the resource. And the resource that we're talking about is one of the most critical ones for Wellfleet, because it's the most polluted as far as nitrogen goes. And you're right on the brink of it. And you've got 6 feet of drainage from your drain field right into the water. So that's another real problem, I think.
Can I ask a question that's related to that? Does anyone know the condition? Do you guys know the condition of this leach field? Whether it's works well or how close it is?
So the last inspection I saw, it was found to be in working order. And it is existing. I just wanted to point that out. We're not proposing to replace it at this point.
That's why I'm asking if you know anything about it.
Yeah.
In the nitrogen neutralization, that happens, that's not dependent on the nature of the drain field. In other words, the nitrogen's already removed by the time it's pumped or goes into the drain field. Is that true?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Where does the nitrogen, in some of these, the nitrogen is absorbed by wood chips, wherever they are, underneath the drain field or whatever. This particular drain system you're gonna put in, by the time it leaves that second tank, is the nitrogen already removed?
Yeah, so the treatment process is within the nitro. So you gravity flow into the septic tank. It does its thing as far as settling out some solids. It then overflows into the treatment tank. And that's where the process goes through a filter media, which I believe is wood chips, but I'm not totally sure. But it does go through media and then recirculates back to the tank, which is where you get your denitrification. And then recycled again through the treatment and then out to the debox. So the denitrification process is within the treatment tank as well as the septic tank.
And so just to follow up, so we know when you say this leach field is functioning, how do you describe it? It's
Well, and we can confirm this for you, obviously, if the meeting ends up being continued. But how I would evaluate the septic system or the treatment system, excuse me, the leaching facility would be to evaluate the stone this condition of the stone. So you would simply excavate, hand shovel down to the top of the stone and dig into the stone and see what the condition is. If the stone is in good condition up to the top and below the invert, then it would pass a regulatory inspection.
in good condition being that it's not clogged.
Yeah, it's clean, it's not discolored.
Yeah.
When septic systems go bad, you have typically a strong biomat, which is that black mayonnaise some people see.
Yeah.
And that acts as a clog, it clogs the field.
And you know, from observation, do you know that whether there's been breakout of effluent downslope from the septic system?
The bank is so thick, it'd be hard for me to.
Wouldn't that be important to know? Whether it's actually breaking the ground surface and not flowing down to the water table? As far as impacts.
It would be worth a look. We can take a look at that.
That would impact the vegetation.
Right. I mean, one of the things that, first of all, we're not adding any flow. So we're talking about an existing 2-bedroom home with a standard Title V system and a 2-bedroom home with an enhanced nitrogen removal. So I think we're addressing the nitrogen removal, the nitrogen on the marsh, which is critical. I totally agree with that. But we are really locked into the position of where it is now because of where the drinking water wells are. So.
Okay, I guess maybe, but if you moved it over here, wouldn't it be just as close to the?
Where's over here?
So if you moved it
Where the proposed driveway is? Yeah.
on the other side of the driveway, wouldn't you be just as far away? And now couldn't you ask for a variance because of it's an EIA system?
The policy of the DEP, I can't really talk about the policy that Wellfleet Board of Health, I think that's in flux, but policy of DEP is not to, when you're dealing with well setback variances and leaching facilities, they do not like to see a decrease in leaching facility setback to not only the locust well, but the abutting wells. So if we were to shift the leaching facility to the east or to the west or to the southeast corner, we would be bringing the leaching facility closer to a drinking water well than what currently exists now. So the DEP is going to look at this as like, okay, you are providing denitrification at the same location where the current leaching facility is and its relationship to the abutting wells. You're providing a benefit to the water quality. If you start moving the leaching facility around, you get into it, I think in a butter's well, I wouldn't feel comfortable moving a leaching facility closer to a butter's well. And I think that's kind of what we're locked into. On small lots like this, they try to maintain the environmental setback, and you're talking. I know the salt marsh is very important to you as a commission, but drinking water wells are very important when it comes to DEP and Title V.
You know, we've given, I mean, there have been plenty of instances where people move them because of concerns with the resources area and they get variance from the Board of Health. But, you know, we can move on to the next thing if we want.
Well, I mean, I obviously, I can evaluate the condition
I
of the
think-
leaching facility.
yeah.
I think that's a good point. I can certainly take a look at the slope. Find my way down that slope
See if
somehow,
there's any
see if
breakout.
there's any breakout.
A break,
But imagine the type-
place for this water.
Yeah.
Being
It's
channeled
not going
out.
down, it's
Yeah.
going laterally and breaking out across the road.
When the soil testing was done for the previous design, it found medium sand, pretty classic stuff for
The
Wellfleet, so.
previous design,
Yeah, so when the system was installed back in the nineties,
oh, Title V,
in Title V, the soil testing it done at the time
okay,
was sand.
yeah,
So you're gonna have more of a vertical release of effluent than more of a lateral.
unless there was some clogging at the bottom.
Yeah, but
I see what you're saying, it's beyond that,
I think it's worth looking at. I'm
Yeah.
not trying
yeah,
to say I'm not gonna look at it. I can
Yeah.
look at those two items. With regards to the house size, the actual footprint of the house itself is just increased by 13 square feet. We've got these, we can try to match what's there. But we can, working with the project architect and Mr. Story, we can take a look at, if we can bring that into the.
Is it the pop out in the front with the porches or entry? No, I guess not. That was over there. Okay,
Yeah, and then with regards to the covered deck location, I knew this was gonna be a sticking point with the commission, given the bylaw. I think, we would like to hopefully have the commission view this. This property, I think, is somewhat unique, given the size, given the fact that the coastal bank cuts this property in half. And there really will be no exterior area to enjoy the property, so I think a covered deck, I think is pretty suitable. The size, we can talk about the size, but I think something on the water side of the property is I think warranted, given the tightness of the property, but
yeah, John's.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sympathetic to the fact you want to enjoy for me, the difference in the proposed house and the existing house then is not an issue for me. The deck is a big problem with me because it's within the 50 and we've tried never to say you can do anything in the 50, and I understand, you're wanting to have some sort of access to view the marsh, etc. I just don't think it can be a structure that you added out into the resource area. I just, that's just too much for me. Recommend a lot of
I do
windows inside.
I do think that there has been little effort made to adhere to any of our bylaws. There's not a reduction in anything. There's an increase in everything. So I think that, it doesn't feel like you're making much of an effort, to rebuild this house within regs. And we have very clear regs. Expansion of existing structure within the buffer zone may be allowed, provided that no new structure or addition to an existing structure shall be located closer to a wetland resource than the existing conditions. So right now, we're very much increasing that, we're gonna be much closer with the deck. And then it also says the following activities are prohibited within the 50-foot to 0 to 50-foot filter strip. One is no new structures, including but not limited to homes, buildings, garages, sheds, decks. And then also no expanded lawn or garden areas. So it's clearly you don't meet our regs. And I do think that I understand why you might want to have a deck, but having 400 square feet of deck is excessive, especially when you're not willing to reduce anything else. You can reduce the house size. and maybe get a larger deck. Or you can put the deck over this retaining wall and, you know, in front of the septic, which wouldn't increase your distance to the coastal bank and still be able to see.
Or include the deck in the footprint of the house.
Yeah.
Spot.
There are ways to, you know, rebuild within our regs, or make an effort, or at least make an effort to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in my cover letter, I do say that we are not meeting your bylaw and we're asking for relief from your bylaw, which I think your bylaw allows relief to be given. I think that we would hope that the restoration of the lot and the improvement of the vegetation community would offset that expansion. Now, the scope of that expansion is we can talk about, or we'll go back and talk to the applicant about it, but I think that this, you know, I think this lot does warrant, you know, if some waiver of that regulation.
I have a comment unrelated to site development, but rather, this is an old house and it looks like you stripped off the asbestos siding.
Yeah, Mr. Story did confirm that it was the asbestos siding that was taken down. He went through a building permit and see it right on the window there. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
building permit was just to remove a chimney.
yeah, that had nothing to do with asbestos.
Oh, I didn't read the building permit.
Yeah, the building permit wasn't for.
Yeah, I didn't notice a tent being put up over the house to remove this
So
asbestos.
I want
Legally.
some proof that there was compliance for when the clapboard was taken off. And then another matter, this is an old house, it's also probably got lead paint. And has any sampling been done around the edge of the dwelling for asbestos and lead in the soil? Because if it is there, when you start to do construction here, you're gonna churn that stuff up. And it could easily go down into the wetlands or up in the air.
No, I don't think we have not done any testing around the house.
Okay, well,
I heard you. We can include that.
It's important.
until I see that matter addressed, I will not vote for this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so far, we've talked about the drain field and there is an improvement there to the environment because it's going to be deemed. But it's not gonna be any different than what it is now as far as closeness. There is concern, I think there's good concerns about pollution because it's probably rife in there. See, one thing that's missing here is we're not seeing the arcs of the distance from the wells. Am I missing that someplace?
No, they're not on the plan.
They're not on the.
So that's a little hard for us to even consider what an alternative might be.
Are the retaining walls gonna be rebuilt or just left as a?
The retaining walls will be rebuilt.
We'll find it.
Is there a description of that construction and demolition?
No.
Yeah, we haven't picked the material. We can certainly get that information for you. I don't know if they're gonna be cast in place or some sort of block masonry product.
And equipment and materials are gonna be wheeled around there. We need to know that.
So it's such a sensitive area. All the work that's being done here is going to be,
Do we want?
it's going to strain the environment.
Do we want to move to the mitigation, to the landscape restoration? Portion? Are we ready to do that? Okay.
And so I think we've got a both. Let's see. I'll be on that.
Your turn now.
Continuing on, this. So you talked about initially you're gonna cut the stumps, cut the trees, split stumps, and then keep the stumps to the other side. And then we talk about follow-up treatments, after you do that, are you gonna start planting shrubs and replacing shrubs and trees?
No, we like to have a growing season where we'll seed with grass and wildflowers, but then we won't plant until the following year to treat any invasives that. As they
Okay,
respread.
so. Okay, but after the removal of the invasive shrubs and trees and their stump treatment. You talk about on I think, page 10, you talk about broadcasting, I guess, and I'm assuming you're gonna have invasives coming up from root suckers and seeds. Are you gonna have to broadcast those, broadcast spray herbicides to control those?
No, we often will do a basal treatment where we'll cut and drip right on the cut stump, or we will do a very low volume foliar treatment, just no spraying, just kind of directly apply it.
Little herbs, herbaceous plants, you gotta stem treat them, or will there be broadcast spraying?
No, we won't be broadcast spraying. We get down on our hands and knees and then we cut and we just
Strip it in.
yeah, feel methodical.
Okay.
Cape Cod lawn. When you say Cape Cod lawn here, what does that mean to you?
It will, so after the construction, we'll grade it level and then seed it with a fescue and micro clover mix.
If we could get a definition of Cape Cod lawn, or even just a list of the species that your seed mix that you have. And put that into the landscape restoration plan, then there'll be no room for interpretation of the seed there.
Okay.
Also, you said that the foundation beds will be designed and planted after construction. Where are those, first of all? Is it around the front and the side of the house?
The front and along the side of the house. Yes. There's
So-
blank white spots.
What, since that is within the 50, we'd be very interested in knowing which your plans are. So.
It should be native simply, and I think given how much you're asking to do here, it would behoove you to include that in this plan. And if you do native ornamentals, but leaving planting plants excluded, especially when you're asking for so much, I don't think is a good idea.
Well, going back, just quickly to the structural stuff, is it, are we clear on where the driveway's
Yeah,
going?
the driveway's in two different spots on the plan, so that needs to be corrected as well.
Okay. Yes, I had. After talking with the client, I had moved it to the east side and I kept the same area, but made it a little wider and it's a little pulled back from the resource area.
So that's the final decision, the east.
We will.
It needs to be the same on this plan.
There's a little coordination that needs to happen here.
We'll make sure it's coordinated.
No, it's fine.
Sorry, we'll talk. You'll talk, a lot of talking.
Were there any other concerns with the mitigation?
I'm having trouble, that's my fault, I'm sure, distinguishing what's being removed.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
I agree with that,
And
yeah.
what is, I mean, I
So there's the
understand.
one pine, but then all the other trees that you're removing, the locusts, they're not on the plan anywhere.
No, they're not.
So if we could add that, just put the little X's where those are gonna be. Our regs also require to have somewhere the total amount of trees removed. So.
I
And
could
it's,
put in here, it'd be 9
okay,
invasive locusts and the 1 pitch pine.
and then all the sycamore maples are sapped.
Yes.
Okay. So if we can add the locust locations to the plan.
Okay, so the reason I asked this is, I'm sympathetic to trying to remove invasives from a place with natives, but not all invasives are the same. Black locusts are a pretty indigenous tree at this point. I mean, it's been what, 200 years, John?
Probably more.
Maybe more. So are we removing black locusts because they're a pain in the butt? Or are we removing black locusts because we're creating the vista? And which I will be more critical of. So I want to know where the black locusts are that we're removing and why we're removing them. Are they providing habitat? You know, they provide nectar for bees and things.
But also, I think somewhat allelopathic, they inhibit the growth of.
I believe that's
Is that right?
I believe
I'm not sure. I think they give off chemicals that inhibit the growth of other plants.
Right, they also nitrogen fixers, so they
Yeah, so
store
they
them.
use it all.
They do, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, I would like that information and,
And then we can sort back.
right, and I guess I just wanna my feeling is I like compatibility so that vegetation removal and replacement is a good thing if done the way we want it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can do something that's entirely different, like put a deck in. I don't think that's mitigation for a deck, but that's a different conversation, I guess. But I would like to know. Oh, and my last thing is, I understand about the cut and drip for the locusts. I'm less enthusiastic about putting pesticides this close to the coastal bank for all your invasive species that you're articulating here. So I'd like a little more specificity, like this and justification. A lot of these can be handled by just throwing them out like the English ivy or continuous cutting. I mean, locusts are tough, I know, but some of the others I think you can handle. The sycamores, for example.
right. We don't use herbicide on English ivy. We pulled that out. Honeysuckle and privet, we generally rip those out. We don't use much herbicide. The especially near the bottom of the bank, a lot of the bittersweet vines are very thick. It looks like a lot of bittersweet, but it comes down to one point. So it'll be very local vines, one area of herbicide, and we'll be broadcasting there, a lot of it. And as far as the removal of the invasives, we do defer to the Mass Plant Advisory Group, which does list them as invasive, and that's the reason we're removing them. I don't think any of the ones that we remove would create a vista at this point.
So, and on the herbicide treatment, so it goes systemic to kill the plant, right? And it doesn't go any further. It's not gonna, what I'm getting at, it's not gonna adversely affect what's there native or what you're planting that's native. No,
Not the when you do like the hand wiping.
you wouldn't find it in the soil around. Good.
If I could just add to that, okay, so the two main active ingredients we use are glyphosate and triclopyr. They have very short half-life. They don't translocate from the root system to the soil. So by the time the plant is biodegrading, the herbicide is no longer present in the area. So that's one of the reasons why we prefer to use a cut and wipe method versus pulling, because a lot of times pulling and mechanical removal does more disturbance to the soil, particularly on the coastal bank, and we don't want to do anything that's going to destabilize the coastal bank. English ivy is very shallow rooted, can be easily hand pulled and not make a lot of disturbance, whereas removing a locust stump would be a significant amount of disturbance to the soil, so we want to limit that. So I just wanted to add the two, and we could be more specific. So for instance, glyphosate is not effective in treatment for bittersweet, Asiatic bittersweet, so we use a triclopyr based. We also, in the wetland resource areas, use an EPA approved surfactant to be used in wetland resource areas so that it has no negative impact on aquatic species. And we can give you the particulars on the product that we use for that. This Aquaneat is the main product.
Thank you.
Leanne, do we want to see if there's anyone here for public comment?
Yes. Is there any butters or public? Okay. Are you in a butter?
Am I the only one? Yes, I'm Sharon Lindsay. I'm in a butter. Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm just wondering if there's a copy of the plan that I could have, or if I could just quickly.
I have a bunch of extra here.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's all I require.
Okay, do you mind my name for us?
No.
It's also fully available online.
Okay.
If you search for the online permitting, you'll see it there. If you need any more copies, they should be digitally available.
Very much.
Thank you.
Find out if they want to continue.
Yeah, okay, I just want to review the things that the action items that we talked about. First of all, is coordinating the driveway location between the drawings. Options, I'd like to see some options for the set. And also, I'd like to see the arcs for from the wells. So well, and as far as the planting plan.
There's one more for the plan.
Which,
We need the soil testing
oh, right.
and to evaluate the leach field.
Yeah, both of those are very important. Thank you for reminding me of that. As far as,
Comment about the soil.
yes,
Yeah.
the soil test.
And the retaining wall reconstruction.
Yeah.
That's right.
Retaining wall.
Okay, that's quite a few. As far as the planting plan, the primary ones I heard were the locations of the trees to be removed. The definition of what the Cape Cod lawn is going to be composed of and what the restrictions, we'll have restrictions on what can be done to that lawn. And also the foundation plants. We'd like to see you carry that forward a little bit so that we know what we're approving.
And specifics on herbicide use. Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Teresa said.
Okay, so that's
and then I just, there has been work done without a permit, there was vegetation removal, that was not done. We were on site today and there was some vegetation removal and other work that was done. Without the benefit of a permit from us, so.
Not true. No. Nobody removed any vegetation from that property since I've owned it.
If you walk back to,
The surveyors took a little bit down to put the stakes in, but that's the amount of it.
Yeah, I have to admit, which I saw a little raspberry that was down, but it looked like areas where stakes went in, but Mike and I have been out there multiple.
we were out, and there was
times.
like some locust that was cut pretty off.
I didn't see any of
I
that.
think that was during Title V inspection when I first bought the house. Maybe 3 inches in diameter.
Yeah,
That's been there since I owned the house.
All right.
Before I owned the house.
and there'll be no more work there without proper permits?
There hasn't been any work there.
Okay, well, there was work done there without permitting.
it's okay. So do we, does everybody feel that's a comprehensive list of information on the building? So. No, really understanding of it?
It's up to the owners whether they want to come back or have a vote or not.
No, we're not, we'd rather avoid a vote, okay, obviously, and I was looking at dates. When are your meeting, was not, it was the 15th, obviously, we won't be able to get that, we need something.
the first one.
November 5th and November 19th.
I'm out of town, so, can we aim for 5th, or we might ask for.
Yeah.
Do we get to make on top of that, but at least the big stuff, target.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
That as you, consider your options. I hate to throw this on you, but you should contact the agent and sort of get a rough sense of.
Yeah, I'm happy to have a.
That's good. You know, you were clearly not familiar with Hart Fairley stringent interpretation of
I-
our
I-
regs. So if we can communicate with each other, I think that might make things easier.
Can I ask a question? I'm Michael Silver, the architect.
Okay.
And after hearing all this, we actually, the house isn't bigger. The house is 13 square feet bigger than it was. And it's in, the new house would be obviously a much better environment for where it's going. The deck off the back, yes, we know the guideline. We drew a deck across the back. But is there a limit to where that will go? I could go the other way and make a 4x8 deck, which might look more appealing, but so is there a deck off the back that you would accept? And if so, what size would that be?
I think that what we'd like to do is some options. I mean, we don't do the design.
It's not a matter of design.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
This is going to take up.
We're generally quite strict about the limitations or the prevention of additional structures within the.
Understood. I totally understand.
Okay, all right, that's where we're at.
Okay, so basically that's a no.
We almost always prohibit
not gonna give
any
you an
new
answer.
building within 50 foot. Just so you know.
What's that?
I'd be happy to list in my list to match what you asked us to look at, so.
Okay.
If we could just have the continuance to the 5th of November, we can put that in motion.
Okay.
And that we continue until the 5th of November.
Second,
Yes.
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 And yes. So we'll look forward to seeing what the.
Thank you very much.
And John, you know, I always email you the next day with the full letter, so, look at that.
Let me take it.
I know. Well, if I miss anything, let me know.
Thank you very much.
Okay. On that happy note.
The meeting is always on board. How long is the wait time?
Right here. Come on.
Oh, yes, John, I'm dying to be here. Got all dressed up for this. Took a shower.
We have a vacancy.
That's.
No. I first time I like the house like this.
Everybody hates the conservation.
So I move that we close the public hearing.
Need discussions up to the next level, so we won't be able to hear our night. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And yes, so the public hearings are now adjourned. Let's move on to the business meeting.
Would you like me to sign in as having been here? I'm just.
I'm talking.
Yeah, okay, all right, fine.
No talk, no signature.
Okay, fair enough. I'll keep my mouth shut so I don't have to sign.
It's always a good plan. Okay. We're now in the business meeting. In attendance, we have Michael Fisher, John Portnoy, John Tumbler, Robert Stewart, and Leon Shreves. So we have a quorum. Any jurisdictional opinions we should discuss?
There's one in your site summaries and then one came in this week, so we'll do both if you don't mind. The first one was 100 Way 26 and it's a removal of 3 Japanese pines. They're on the very edge of the coastal bank. They're not in any view corridor. And last year, when one of those Japanese pines fell down, it took out 5 to 10 feet of bank behind it. So they just want to cut those so that that doesn't happen again.
So I did that by the tree blowing
Yeah.
over and kicking out.
It's gonna kind of flush in.
Kind of flush.
Whatever side.
No oversight.
Probably won't sprout, right?
No. Japanese, they won't. And then those property owners are in the beginning stages of moving the entire dwelling back from that coastal bank, so we should be getting that application in a year or so. And then the second one, 15 Briar Lane, that came in early this week and I just did the site visit now. They're putting a mini split on an existing concrete driveway. So
That's pretty easy. Yeah.
pretty easy and not necessarily a delicate resource. I guess it is, but it's not necessarily. It's within the 100.
Well, it's on driveway.
It's on, yeah, it's on a concrete driveway, yeah.
Awesome. Do we need to vote on those?
You can move to approve both.
Uh,
I move that we approve both.
Second. Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
and yes, okay. Did we receive anything in the mail in this stuff?
can I raise some questions?
Yep.
Oh, good. The country club has added a second tent down on the bank. And I don't think they came before us to add the second tent. It's, the first tent looks bigger than the tent they had last year. It does, to me, it looks bigger, but the second tent is clearly another tent.
Is it that smaller tent?
Yes.
That smaller tent is permitted. They didn't put it up the first year.
Oh, we gave them permission for 2 tents?
Yeah. And the location of the one that you, yeah, I know I've been down there. The location is changed, but it's in our favor. It's further away from the resource area than its original location. Yeah.
At this point, my concern is that's an awful lot of cover for rain runoff onto the bank.
That is a very valid concern, but you permitted it.
Okay. I thought we didn't permit, I thought this was a contested issue.
No, it was extended by state law.
Right.
And so now they have another 2 years.
But that permit goes back to COVID, right?
Yeah.
And they asked for permission to put up a tent that they said they would take down, and they're not taking down.
It's only allowed to be up a certain amount of days a year. So that might be maybe next year we can actually track it.
And the permit runs out.
So it was supposed to be out in, I think it's gonna be done in 2027 now.
My other issue is the house just west of the country club on the harbor side. We visited a few times,
Okay,
brand new
yeah,
house.
yeah.
No.
They have a built-in sprinkler system in the front, but I think that may be out of our jurisdiction, which runs all the time.
They had one in the back too.
They have in the back, they have standing structures they're running every evening on what looks like a golf course lawn. I thought we were.
Couldn't we just address that?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
told them they weren't supposed to.
Okay,
I mean, I guess what's the,
can you go, we should, okay, sprinklers on the house.
I think that they had a subterranean watering system. We told them to take it out.
Yeah, but now
So-
they have,
Now they have an above ground one. that they're
Yeah,
still
and-
using.
I'll have to look at their order and look at the exact language
okay,
and then see. If we wrote in there no sprinklers allowed or what, but I will definitely look at it. And if you could get a picture or a video of it from the public way,
So there's John skulking around with his.
it's not that. I
then.
mean, I can hear it, I know it's running.
Yeah,
I know the front one because I was riding my bike when it went,
yeah,
but that's buried in the ground. It's the back one that.
Yeah.
It looks like it's it's not a Cape Cod lawn, but I don't know what.
On the general topic of Cape Cod lawns, do you already have guidance on what Cape Cod extension surface and?
APCC has one.
Oh, that's right.
And it does get really dicey when, I don't mind just calling it a Cape Cod lawn and letting the narrative define what that is. If it's in our regs, then we're stuck to it. And then usually the special conditions, I say, lawn, no traditional lawn allowed, only a Cape Cod lawn has defined in the narrative. But APCC has a really good definition of a Cape Cod
That's
lawn.
right. I think I brought it up once.
Yeah, and they have a really good one, yeah. And so as long as we have that definition or what they're using in the landscape restoration plan or in the narrative, then we can make sure that it stays that way.
All right.
Was that it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of a squiggly, hard to get a grip on that one.
Yeah, that's a moving target for sure.
I did a talk at Poundstown yesterday or Sunday, and I defined a Cape Cod lawn as mowed weeds.
Yeah, well, and I think it is also defined as it has to be
called native.
drought tolerant, you know, so that it'll,
Right.
yeah, APCC, and then the conscom agents just had a training on lawns. And that was actually really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how it, like, different regions actually define lawns differently, even within, you know, we call it a Cape Cod lawn. But if you're trying to get a native lawn in the Midwest or something like that, they call it something totally different, even though lots of times it's the same exact fescue mixes. And so it would be nice to standardize it.
Rather than old lines like mine, evolved to a lot of moss, Selaginella and these other mosses. But you don't, that's never mentioned in the species list.
No, and it probably will never be. Well, just because when people want lawns, they do.
It keeps going all over it, it's nice and.
I know. That it doesn't look right, John.
Can't, you don't mow it, because they're not even, I don't know.
Yeah, this woman was really trying to marry the property owners wanting the nice, pretty green lawn with what would be better for everybody.
Yeah, so we have minutes?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, does anybody have any corrections?
Just have some minor typos, a few missing words, but I'll just pass it off.
Thank you, John. Anybody else?
A motion to accept the minutes?
Recommended.
Second.
Yes, yes.
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 And yes, okay.
I will not be at the next meeting. I will be in Nova
Maybe
Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Now I ask you about that. Because when I go off, I'm going,
No, we can't.
you can't?
No. My husband got a gig.
Uh,
And I was on the verge of actually buying us flights to Ireland. And then he said, I just gotta get.
Should we move to close the?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was fascinated by the conversation.
I would second.
All right.
Wait,
Yes.
who made the
Yes.
motion? Sorry.
John, you voted
You did, okay.
adjourning?
I know.
Yes.
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 Boy, sometimes it's hard. It's